Mr. Michel Elegbe serves as the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director and a Director of InterSwitch Limited. Michel founded InterSwitch in 2002, and under his leadership, the company has diversified its business, broadened its distribution channels, expanded into new markets, and delivered strong growth in revenue and profits. Michel is an electronics engineer from the University of Benin. He's also an alumnus of the IESE Wharton CEIBS Global CEO Program. He's a consummate people-centric leader who believes in motivating his colleagues at InterSwitch to have confidence in their value as individuals. Apart from leading InterSwitch to win numerous coveted industry awards, Michel's leadership abilities has earned him several awards, including the CNBC Forbes All-African Business Leader, the AABLA, and the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Michel enjoys mentoring young entrepreneurs. He's a Bishop Desmond Tutu Fellow of the African Leadership Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcome to the platform, Mr. Michel Elegbe.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. A lot of the things I have in my first few slides have been talked about already, so I'd like to move straight to the slide that starts with switch the way you view the world. Can the team quickly, can you move to the slide that talks about switch the way you see the world? Just keep going here. A lot of the things you are seeing now have been talked about already, so I won't waste your time with that. I'll just go straight to a different perspective about the way we see the world and how technology can play a role in that space. Yeah. Okay, the very next slide, please. When you want to analyze issues around Nigeria, it is very easy for us to take a look at Nigeria as one country, but don't look at what happens globally. There's a very interesting website I go to from time to time called worldmapper.org. And what that website shows to you is different perspective of the world. And what I'd like to do is spend the next few minutes to share some perspectives about Nigeria and the world with you. And then based on that, we can look at how technology can be a good tool for growth in this country. Right there on the screen, what you see is the political landmass of the country, of the world. This we all know. I'll just ask you to fix your eyes on 4 countries. Okay? Top right-hand corner in purple is Japan. Okay? So in terms of landmass, as you can see, very small. Moving a bit to your left, in green, is China. China has been mentioned time and time again today, so it's good to look at China. And right a bit to your left in yellow is India. It would be good to look at that because we're talking about technology, and I want to talk to you about how technology has shaped some of these countries. Move from there to your extreme left-hand side in blue, up north there, where you will find Canada and then the US. And then of course come to the middle of the world map there, where you'll find Nigeria right there in the middle in light brown. And then of course go extremely down south of Africa, where you will see South Africa. So as I move to the next 2 or 3 slides, I'd like you to try and quickly look at Japan, China, India, Canada, the US, Nigeria, and then of course South Africa. Okay? What this slide tells you is that on an average, if you look at the population of the world, everyone in this room should have about 2.1 hectares of land in their name. This is roughly the size of 2 large football stadiums. So the question is, if the world was fair and things were evenly distributed, everyone in this room should have about 2.1 hectares of land. With that, you can farm and feed yourself and your family. If you are lucky, somewhere in that place you may have oil and other minerals. Okay? And so really you can be self-sufficient. But that is not the reality. Okay? Let's look at another perspective. Next slide. This is the same map of the world using country population as the basis. Suddenly, what do you find about Japan? Purple extreme right hand side, a lot bigger than it was. What that basically means is that the population of Japan relative to the landmass it has is much more than it should have been on the average. If you go to Canada, Canada is just a straight line, extreme left hand side. The US is still relatively big. Come to Nigeria. Nigeria is bigger. Nigeria has taken the space meant for some other countries. And then come down to South Africa, it's relatively smaller than it was before. Now the question here is population an advantage or a disadvantage? I've heard people say today that the population of Nigeria is an advantage. I agree. But I also belong to the school of thought that if you have population and you cannot meet the needs of your people, then perhaps population becomes a disadvantage. So the question is, which one is right and which is wrong? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with this map. It's just another perspective of the world. Okay? Let's go forward. One more slide. This is a map of the world again. But this time, we're looking at employed versus unemployed. The US becomes suddenly very big relative to Canada and Mexico. Go to Japan. Japan becomes very big. Where is India? India cannot be found. Where is Nigeria? Where is Africa? Africa cannot be found. So population, landmass has no correlation with employment. Therefore, we should not be too surprised when you find lots of Nigerians or lots of Africans wanting to leave the continent to go where? To the US, to Europe, as you can see, and perhaps even sometimes the Middle East. This is the complexity of our situation. Okay, and these are the issues we need to deal with as a nation. Next slide. This talks about internet penetration. And what you're seeing now, go to the next slide, please. Good. Let's use this one. So what you are seeing on the screen is internet penetration in the year 2000. We are now in 2016. Okay? Take a look at Japan. This time around, China is back. India is back. America, still very big. Canada, we can see. Mexico is a lot smaller. Nigeria is okay. We can see it's still quite small. And then many countries between Nigeria and South Africa basically vanish. And then as you go further down, South Africa begins to emerge again. This was in 2000. Next slide. Now this is 2007. What will you notice? Nigeria has become bigger. And if you look at Africa, relative to other countries in Africa, Nigeria has really increased. Okay? If you look at other countries in the world, While Nigeria has increased, most of them have remained stagnant. I do not have the data for 2016, but from other sources I have, it is clear that by 2016, Nigeria has one of the highest number of people using their mobile phones to access the internet. This event is about what do you have in your hands. I have been asked to speak about technology. Technology applies everywhere. Manufacturing, entertainment, media, everywhere is technology. And if I attempt to talk about opportunities in technology in every area of our lives, we won't live here today. So I've decided to narrow myself down to just one area, digital technology. And that is driven largely by mobile and the internet. Okay? Next slide. Next one, please. Good. What you'll find here is GDP